Cats aren't supposed to wait for you at the door. They aren't supposed to follow you everywhere, learn games, join your adventures, or insist on being involved in almost everything you do. That's dog behavior. Right? Maybe not. Because hidden among the world's cat breeds are a remarkable few that seem determined to blur the line between feline independence and canine companionship. Some explore beside you, some follow you like shadows, and others turn training into a game they never want to end. Welcome back to Wild Unknown, where we uncover the side of animals most people never get to see. These are 7 cat breeds that act surprisingly like dogs. And by number 1, you may realize we've been asking the wrong question all along. The morning is quiet. Sunlight falls across the living room. There's a warm spot on the sofa, an empty windowsill, and absolutely no reason for a cat to go looking for trouble. A Turkish van may disagree. Open a door. Move a box. Bring something unfamiliar into the house. Suddenly, there's an investigation underway. This is a breed often associated with an active, confident personality and a strong curiosity about its surroundings. And unlike the stereotype of the cat that prefers watching life from the safest corner of the room, the Turkish van can seem much more interested in discovering what happens next. Climbing opportunities become destinations. New spaces deserve inspection. Interactive play can become serious business, and some individuals are famously fascinated by water, unusual enough to add another layer to the breed's adventurous reputation. But here's what makes that personality interesting. A Turkish van doesn't need to behave like a dog to remind you of one. It's the enthusiasm, the confidence, the sense that life isn't something to observe from the sofa, it's something to investigate. Of course, every cat is an individual, and independence remains part of the package. But if the first step toward seeming dog-like is wanting an adventure, the Turkish van has already left the sofa behind. Still, exploring the world is one thing. The next cat makes the relationship more personal, because for some cats, home isn't where the furniture is. It's where you are. A suitcase lands on the bed. Clothes disappear inside. Keys are collected. The routine changes. Many cats notice immediately, and some make it very clear that whatever is happening, they would like to be included. With its short, expressive tail and rugged appearance, the American Bobtail looks almost wild at first glance. But its personality can tell a very different story. The breed is generally known for being social, adaptable, and strongly engaged with its household. And that's where the dog comparison begins to make sense, not because an American Bobtail stops being a cat, but because companionship can matter more than simply occupying the same space. It may investigate what you're doing, join family activity, settle nearby, turn play into interaction rather than solitary entertainment. The result can feel less like having an animal somewhere in the house, and more like having a companion moving through the day with you. That doesn't mean every bobtail wants constant attention. No breed guarantees personality. But there's something wonderfully familiar about an animal whose curiosity repeatedly brings it back to its people. Maybe that's one of the first boundaries between dogs and cats that begins to disappear. Home isn't always a location. Sometimes, it's company. But the next breed goes further, because sharing your day apparently isn't enough. It may also want a running commentary on it. The doorbell rings. A stranger steps inside, and somewhere in the house a cat has a decision to make. Disappear upstairs, observe from a safe distance, or walk straight toward the new arrival as if someone forgot to make the introductions? Meet the Tonkinese. Born from Siamese and Burmese ancestry, this breed inherited a reputation for something neither parent breed is exactly famous for lacking: personality. Tonkinese cats are often described as highly social, interactive, playful, and interested in people. They don't necessarily want to watch family life from across the room. They often want a role in it, and communication can become part of that relationship. A familiar voice, a response, a look, a sound from across the room that somehow feels suspiciously like an opinion. Soon, living with one can feel less like sharing a house with a mysterious observer, and more like living with a small roommate who believes every household decision deserves feline supervision. That's where the dog-like comparison becomes interesting. Dogs are celebrated for wanting to participate in our social world. But some cats clearly didn't read the rule saying they should remain emotionally mysterious. The Tonkinese doesn't need to become a dog. It simply makes feline independence look surprisingly negotiable. And if you enjoy discovering the side of cats most people never notice, subscribe to Wild Unknown, because the breeds ahead are about to make the line between cats and dogs even harder to see. But talking to you is one thing. The next breed has an even simpler philosophy. Wherever you're going, that's probably where it should be too. You sit down to work. A pair of enormous ears appears beside the screen. You move to the kitchen. A few moments later, they're back. You sit on the sofa. Apparently, the seat beside you was reserved. This is life with a cat that sometimes seems less interested in owning territory than occupying yours. The Devon Rex looks like it was designed by someone with a wonderfully strange imagination. Large ears, prominent eyes, a slender frame, a short, unusual coat. But the appearance is only the beginning. Devon Rex cats are widely known for being people-oriented, playful, and highly involved with their families. Many enjoy being close, not simply in the same house. Close, a shoulder, a lap, the back of a chair, somewhere with an excellent view of whatever their human is currently doing. And that constant involvement creates one of the strongest dog-like impressions on our list. You don't always have to summon the Devon Rex into your day. It may already be there, watching, participating, waiting for the next interesting thing to happen. But there's an important difference between affection and dependence. A social breed still needs appropriate enrichment, boundaries, and care. Because companionship works best when both sides have room to be themselves. And the Devon Rex is very much itself, a strange little shadow with an enormous personality. But compared with the next cat, little is about to disappear. Because number 3 looks as though somebody brought a piece of the wild straight into the living room. At first glance, something seems different. The legs are too long, the ears too large. The spotted coat looks like it belongs somewhere beyond the walls of a house. And there's a reason for that. The Savannah originated from crosses involving domestic cats and the African serval. That heritage helped create one of the most visually striking cats on Earth. But appearance isn't the only thing that sets it apart. Savannahs are often associated with extraordinary activity, curiosity, athleticism, and a need for substantial mental and physical stimulation. And suddenly, the phrase dog-like cat becomes more complicated. Some Savannahs can engage enthusiastically with interactive play and training. Some owners use harnesses and structured enrichment. But this isn't a case where dog-like automatically means easy. Quite the opposite. Intelligence creates possibilities, energy creates demands. And when you combine both, boredom can become surprisingly creative. This is not a breed to choose simply because it looks spectacular on the internet. Savannah ownership can also be restricted or regulated depending on location and generation, and the needs of individual cats can be substantial. That's important, because the best companion isn't the animal with the most impressive abilities. It's the one whose needs you can responsibly meet. And perhaps that's what makes the Savannah so fascinating. It doesn't blur the dog-cat boundary through affection alone. It does it through engagement. This is an animal that can make interaction feel like a project. But even the Savannah has competition. Because the next cat doesn't just want stimulation. Sometimes, it looks as though it wants a job. You buy a puzzle toy. You fill it. You place it on the floor. The Bengal approaches. 20 minutes later, the puzzle is finished, and now the cat is looking at you. Apparently, that was the warm-up. Few domestic cats look quite like a Bengal. The spotted or marbled coat immediately catches your attention. But live with one, and appearance may quickly become the least surprising thing about it. Bengals are widely associated with high activity, curiosity, intelligence, climbing, exploration, and interactive play. Give that mind nothing to do, and it may invent its own entertainment. That's why structured play and enrichment can matter so much. Puzzle feeders, climbing spaces, interactive toys, positive training, activities that turn energy into something useful. And this is where the dog comparison becomes almost irresistible. Not because a Bengal wants to obey, that's the wrong idea. The better comparison is that many seem to enjoy doing something with you. Learning becomes entertainment, play becomes communication, and your home becomes a landscape full of challenges waiting to be discovered. But there's another side to that intelligence. A demanding cat can be frustrating in the wrong environment. The traits people admire are often the same traits that require commitment. The Bengal doesn't need an owner who simply loves the way it looks. It needs someone who understands what happens after the photograph. But if energy and intelligence make the Bengal seem almost canine, our final breed takes us somewhere quieter, because perhaps the most dog-like quality of all has nothing to do with tricks. The front door opens. Shoes touch the floor. A familiar voice enters the house, and somewhere nearby, a Siberian notices. There is nothing spectacular about this moment. No trick, no puzzle, no leash, no command. Just recognition, and perhaps that's exactly why it matters. Beneath the Siberian's powerful frame and thick coat is a breed often described as affectionate, if you could share your life with just one of these incredibly connected to family life. Which would you choose? Many enjoy interaction without losing the independence that makes cats unmistakably feline. They play. They explore. To trust. They learn routine. There is a moment, and they can form deeply familiar relationships with the people around them. But the reason the Siberian belongs at number one isn't because it is secretly trying to become a dog. It's because it exposes the flaw in the entire comparison. Think about everything we've called dog-like today: wanting adventure, following people, being social, learning through play, enjoying interaction, becoming part of family routines. Why should any of those qualities belong exclusively to dogs? Maybe the Siberian isn't crossing some invisible boundary between species. Maybe it's simply reminding us that cats have always been more socially complex than the stereotype allows. A cat can remain independent and still choose companionship. It can walk away and still return. And perhaps affection means something slightly different when the animal beside you always had the option not to stay. Which brings us to the question this entire list has been quietly building toward. Maybe these cats never acted like dogs at all. Maybe we just misunderstood cats. 7 breeds. 7 very different personalities. Adventure, companionship, conversation, closeness, energy, intelligence, family. And none of those things actually belong to dogs alone. Maybe that's what makes cats so fascinating. They don't need to surrender their independence to build a relationship with us. They simply decide how much of their world they're willing to share. So now I want to hear about your cat. Does it wait at the door, follow you everywhere, play fetch, come when called, or do something so strangely dog-like that nobody believes you? Tell us its story in the comments. I want to see how many secret dogs are hiding among the cats watching Wild Unknown. And if these are the animal stories you love discovering, subscribe to Wild Unknown. There's much more of the animal world we think we understand, but probably don't, because sometimes the animal doesn't need to change. Only the way we see it does.